Okay, we're live. We're
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
here with Jack Taufer, locked down in Southern California, getting fined if you don't wear your mask in public. Is that true?
I haven't heard that, and I've been walking around to the grocery store and stuff today with no mask on.
I thought
So,
that was highly suspect. Somebody
yeah,
said that about Southern
well,
California.
I walked by a police car too, so I'm glad he didn't write me a ticket. I would have used my jujitsu and ran. Yeah.
For real. For
Yeah.
real. What is it like? I know you guys are experiencing a lot. You are locked down. Is that correct? I mean, for the most part, you can go to the grocery store and stuff.
It's not a lockdown. It's like I don't watch the news, so maybe I'm a little, being a bad boy. It's just it's what do they call it? Like it's just suggested that this is to my knowledge, and I haven't gotten any updates. I don't know about that face mask rumor or the lockdown rumor,
Yeah,
but
I
it's just
don't.
basically it's like it's suggested that you stay in. That's basically it.
Mhm.
But you see people running, going for jogs, walking their dogs and shit. So it's
Yeah.
no big deal. Yeah. It's also really rainy here right now, so that kind of helps people stay indoors too. Dude, there's gonna be a monster baby boom in like 9 months.
You know it. Yeah, yeah. That'll offset our population losses right there.
Yeah, we're gonna make up for it instantly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you know anybody that's been hit with the virus or anything like that?
No.
One of my students' dads, my student from the gym, his dad had it,
Dang. And
but
did he
he
recover?
recovered. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
home.
I posted something. I probably shouldn't because I don't like to debate online. I just don't have the energy for it. Like I'll debate in person all day, but like typing out my thoughts and all that shit and then getting everybody with an opinion online. But anyway, I posted this thing on Facebook last night. The Falsey or whatever that guy's name is, however you say it. He's on, he's
Yeah.
okay. What's his position? It's
Fauci. I don't know what his official. He's like head of the virology or something like that, or infectious disease, something like that. I don't know.
yeah, that guy. He posted that they are going to assume 60,000 deaths. But if you take 60,000 divided by 327 million, this is the amount of population that, sorry, right there,
Yeah.
0.00018. So basically, that's the death rate. So it looks like it's not going to be as bad as we anywhere near expected. They were thinking 3%, but 3% at 327 million is a lot of people. So I don't know if the disease is actually not as dangerous as they thought it was. I think the recent thing I read is like 88% of people who catch it are going to be asymptomatic, meaning they're not going to exhibit anything, or it's going to be really, really mild. And then the other 12% are going to have it's going to kind of kick their butts. And then of that 12%, like a very small fraction are actually going to die at this point in time. So like that made me really happy and hopeful because it's been really shitty, it's like my fucking doorknob scares me more than anything. I'm like, I touched the doorknob, I'm going to die, and it's like.
Oh, I've been like covering like with my hand in my sleeve to like open the door and stuff. Like, dude, and I would never behave that way normally. I mean, I kind of would. Like, I don't like try to touch surfaces that are like high traffic surfaces, but man, it has raised everyone's concern and awareness.
Yeah.
The social justice is through the roof.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm like, I woke up this morning, there was like 87 replies on the thing, and I'm like, I'm just gonna delete this shit. I'm like, I don't, if whether they're pro or against, I don't care right now. I'm just deleting this shit. Like I accidentally started a little fucking internet war. Really, really funny. There's this friend of mine, her name's Colby, and we have this like back and forth shit talking banter. She's actually really good at it, and I'm trying to catch up. But she said something to me. She goes like like shut up, you human mattress. And I was like, what? Do you want to lay on me? And then she goes, I would rather lick doorknobs in Wuhan. And I was like, oh, she fucking roasted my ass. It was so good. The other one that she gave me was she called me the Ken doll gone wrong. And I was like, God damn it, I can't come back from that.
Bro, you're just like Pauly Shore's cousin, Jackie Shore.
Jackie Shore, great. Like, great.
Oh man,
wheezing the juice. Okay.
There is one of our senators here in Arkansas released some piece of something to the public that said the China virus on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can understand how someone would say that, but it does stigmatize, and it's not like we don't even know where it originated. It could have been, I mean, likely it's from Wuhan because that's where the first cases were, but it could have been brought in from somewhere else, you know. But yeah, it's crazy shit.
It really is, man. Well, dude, I just felt like we obligatorily had to get that shit out of the way. We had to talk.
Yeah.
We had to say something about it.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's funny, I did another podcast with a friend of mine. She's one of the Dirty Dozen black belt women. She's up in Seattle. Her name is Cindy Hales. She's a badass. But we were just like talking jiu-jitsu, and then it came up, and I'm like, I don't want to. Everyone's talking about it. Like, let's move on to some other shit. So it was obligatory. It's out of the way. It's good to see your fucking sexy face, dude. I'm happy to be talking to you.
Same, man. And I'm glad that you're like, I have seen some different posts, so I'm glad to know that you're not like experiencing some sort of crazy like complete lockdown or anything like that.
No, it's all good.
Because there's all sorts of stuff. But man, basically we are going to talk a bunch of jiu-jitsu. Honestly, that's what I want to talk to you about.
Perfect.
This is a jiu-jitsu episode of the podcast, Jiu-Jitsu Unraveled.
Do you have Life Unraveled and then you have Jiu-Jitsu Unraveled?
Yeah, so like remember when you came on last time, we just talked about everything, dude. We talked about Skrillex, Elvis's grandson, like eating burritos, whatever. But yeah, I've done like I do several like spin-off shows. Like I try and stay on like it would be very easy for me to talk about jiu-jitsu in every one of my podcast episodes because of what I do.
Huge part of your life.
And same thing for history. So like I try and segment all of it out so my like listeners of like a normal interview won't get burdened with chokes.
Normal plot talk and chokes and technical details and stuff. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, man, what have you been up to? I know that you've been like, man, over the last couple of years, you've been traveling like crazy. Australia, the Philippines. What's some of the international travel you've been doing, and why?
It was real interesting. I don't know what changed, but I actually saw a stat on this the other day. I think like 44% of Americans have never left the country, and there was like 11% have never left their state or something weird like that. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I just read it. But I was one of those 44% until about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think maybe 8 years ago, I just decided to get a passport, and I didn't use it. And I just had it just in case, you know? And I was sitting just watching TV one day, and then I got a message on Facebook, and these people in the Philippines go, you know, this guy Pat, he's a fucking rad dude, brown belt, should be a black belt, but anyway, so I'm sitting there and he's like, hey, would you, you know, I saw some of your videos, would you consider coming to the Philippines to teach? And I was like, it was so weird because it was so out of the blue and nobody's like asked me to go to another country. So my reply was, yeah, sure, just throw me on a couch and don't let me get stabbed. And then I meant it, you know, and he's like, no, we'll actually fly you out. We have a condo. We'll put you up. And then it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. And they're great. We'll get back to you. And I think it was like 2 weeks later, they're like, hey, so we're looking at these dates. Do they work? And I go, yeah, sure. And he goes, cool. Can you send me a picture of your passport? And I was like, this is a whack scam. Like, I feel uncomfortable. And then I was like, who else have you had out there? And they had Chris Howder. They had they're affiliated under Brotherhood Jiu Jitsu, but I can never say his last name. Nick
Gregorius.
Yeah. So I heard a lot of people just call him Nick G because nobody can pronounce it. But anyway, they've had him out and stuff like that. So I called Howder. I'm like, what's the address of the school? I looked up the area, and there's actually a school there. I went to their website. I was like, okay, it looks legit. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I flew out there. They were super accommodating. They were really nice. And then same thing happened, I don't know, 3 years ago. Just some randos hit me up on Facebook again and said, hey, we saw your videos. You know, would you come to Australia and teach? And I was like, yeah. That one got really funny because he's like, cool. Well, I have this. Do you mind staying at my house? And I was like, oh no, like, I don't know this guy. Like, I don't want to. I'm like, no, I need a place to stay, and please. And then anyway, I'm really good friends with those guys now, and I think they brought me down 4, maybe 5 times. But so it's like I got really cool friends. It's like I have a lot of friends there. Like in Australia, I got really good friends in the Philippines. But when I was in Australia, the Philippines people saw me down there, and they're like, hey, you're just down the street. You know, can we fly you up since you're so close? And I said, yeah, I'll arrange my schedule so we can make it happen. I went back up there, did my second seminar at that school. But a second school said, hey, we saw you're in town. Can we get some privates? I was like, yeah, sure. So I gave them a private, and they're like, dude, we've never seen this. Can you do another hour? It's like, I'll do another hour. And they're like, cool. And then it was like, hey, can you come back tomorrow and do like more privates? And I was like, yeah. And so I ended up flying home, and I just thought about them and was like, hey, do you have any questions? Can I help you? Do you need anything on the techniques and stuff like that? And they were so blown away with that because they're like, no black belt has ever reached out to us, checked on us. How are you doing? How's it going? And I'm not going to say anything bad about the CTC program because I know it's really, really professional. But I guess these people in the Philippines felt like it was just strictly a business. It's like, you know, like if you need something, pay us. It's like you know what I mean? It was just purely transactional. No, like it wasn't like a human connection. So anyway, they said, I went back to the States, and they go, hey, we have an idea, but would you be willing to come out here and do a seminar at our school, not the first school? And I said, yeah. And they took me out to dinner with their investors, and they said, we want to leave the Gracie University and we want to affiliate under Jack Taufer. And I was like blown away. And then we talked about it and stuff. And I was like, let's do this. And so those guys I really care about. They got a great school. They have a good energy, good vibe. And they're doing that invisible type jiu-jitsu. Yeah, so that they're having a lot of fun down there. Well, not right now. Philippines, that's on lockdown. And literally, I'll find a clip and send you this video. The president is like, we will shoot you dead on the street. Like, we will fucking murder you. Yeah, bananas. So they're like really stressed out down there right now, but yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, and here in our state, we were one of the first waves of businesses that had to close.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, within the very first week that they close anything. So
Same.
But man, like I said, I've found the positive in it. I'm still exercising. We're filming tons of content. I'm doing tons of podcasts. I'm doing tons of history. So it's just winning.
Yeah, awesome. You look good, dude. How much weight did you lose?
I've lost about I'm down in the like upper 180s still.
Nice.
So I weighed like up to 207. So yeah. But
yeah,
man, I feel so much better, you know.
Yeah, you look good. I was at like 202, 204, and I was like, oh man. I went during the holidays. I went to Utah and I spent 3 weeks there. And I when I first arrived, I weighed myself and I was 185, and I left and I was 202. I put on 17 pounds. And then I kind of kept it on, and then I was lifting and I was getting strong and stuff. And I was like, I'm too heavy. Like, I don't like it. So I'm down in the upper 180s. I did eat an entire pizza the other day. So I might be back up some water weight and maybe a beer or two.
Man, I've been I've been running a lot during this downtime. That's been
Yeah.
one thing. Doing a lot
Yeah,
of shadow boxing too. A lot of shadow boxing.
that's cool. Yeah, both are great cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. Like honestly, the shadow boxing is probably like one of the best workouts I'm doing. I've been doing some circuit work and stability balls, stuff like that. Like I've been able to exercise and get the training in.
You ever mess around with kettlebells?
Yeah, I have a bunch. The highest, I think the heaviest one I have is 50 pounds right now. I had a 60 and a 70, but they were like real old and kind of bust up, and I gave them away.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a strength and conditioning coach, Robert Pingatori, and he's one of our students at Kama Jiu Jitsu. And I really just get along with the dude. We like vibe really well, but that's what he does for a living. He's a personal trainer and then also a writer actually. But he's had me doing like kettlebell workouts, real strict Pavel style, kind of like strict kettlebell stuff. And man, I just noticed a huge difference, specifically in like the Turkish getup, because it works your core so well and like your balance and everything. It's like I really, really felt a difference from the get-ups and kettlebell swings. It instantly helped out my jiu-jitsu. It just made my body more stable. So that I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I've been
Nice.
I've been getting those in while I can.
Yeah, I do enjoy kettlebell work. That's something I've integrated into my training over the last probably 3 or 4 years. Um, I love doing swings as well. I like doing like a swing and then like a forward, like a frog jump at the end of the swing,
Oh,
like
interesting. Yeah,
going up and down the mat. I do a lot of mobility drills with the kettlebell.
nice.
One guy to check out, he's worked with several UFC fighters. He has a weird name. Functional Patterns is the name of his business.
Okay, I'm putting it in my phone right now.
Yeah, Functional Patterns. He puts out a ton of content on Facebook and on YouTube. He's worked with like
Sorry, I
who
texted you, but that was like the first note thing that was open. So
Nadi Aguilar is his name.
Naughty Aguilar. All right, cool.
Yeah, he's worked with who's that one guy in the UFC? Jeremy Stevens?
Yeah,
Like
I
sick
don't know if
knockout power.
I don't know if he's still in there, but yeah, Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's worked
I lose track. Oh, anyway, he's worked with who else?
he just different UFC fighters, but that's one in particular. Um, let's see. But this dude's insane. He's given me tons of workout ideas. And
Cool.
he's big, big, big on posture.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah.
So
My guy is like he won't let me move up in weight unless I got everything like perfect. He got me up to I pulled 405 pounds on the deadlift, but he wouldn't. I'm like, I think I can do it. And he's like, no, it's like you're anyway. So he's working on my grip, my posture. Same with on the kettlebell swings and the get ups. It's like, no, you have to do it perfect. And then when I got it, he'll let me move up in weight. So he's been. I think that's really important. Like I also, the jujitsu. There's a ton of people who do CrossFit. And I know a lot of CrossFit gyms will train you on proper technique and posture in the beginning, but it's like you got to push yourself and like you could do it. Come up, more reps, go. And I think that's why people get injured is because they're just trying to do it and their back is swaying and whatever, and they're just trying, and then the whole group's like, yeah, you got to do it. Don't be a pussy. Let's go. And then then they get like herniated discs and this and that. So I'm glad this guy. I'll check out his workouts, and I'm glad to hear that he's really big on posture because it's like if your posture's out, man, you're gonna just get injured.
for sure,
Yeah.
sure. Man, you've
Dude,
taught me so much about posture too. It's insane.
say that again.
I said you've taught me so much about posture since I've known you. It's insane. Like probably more so than anybody. And like ironically, that guy that I'm referring to, I've heard him talk about it a lot too, but just how important it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in jujitsu, like really there's moves, but what underlies the moves is your posture, your weight distribution, being connected to your opponent. Those are the things that make jujitsu very effective. And then if you reverse engineer that, if I can break your posture, mess up your weight distribution, and disconnect from you on where you want to be in control of me, then I can really mess up your game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, so you mentioned the your guys in the Philippines, you know, they affiliated with you, so you formed a jiu-jitsu association.
Kind of. It's
Yeah,
fun.
like what could you say about all that? Like, what do you got going on with that?
Well, it was funny. They're like, hey, so, you know, we got an idea. We want to be under Jack Taufer Jiu Jitsu. And I just told them, I was like, there is no Jack Taufer Jiu Jitsu. Why don't you go under Kama Jiu Jitsu? And they're like, we don't know Kama, and we like you. So let's start an association. And he's like, let's blow the doors off this place and let's have a bunch in the Philippines. And it was kind of interesting. I had a miscommunication with Dave. And he's like, so he thought I was basically leaving Kama Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, no. So it was a little weird for like 2 days. And then I'm like, can we sit down and talk? Because I just kind of blurted at him real fast, and he kind of caught him off guard. So he's like, what do you want? And he's like, I'm going to back you up on what you want, but what is it? I'm like, I don't want to leave Kama Jiu-Jitsu. I want to have my school in the Philippines, and it's going to be on Team Kama. Just like you are always under Rickson, and on your logo it says Kama Jiu-Jitsu, Team Rickson Gracie. I'm going to have I'm going to be part of Team Kama Jiu-Jitsu. And he's like, oh, okay. And he was like, I fully support that. I got your back. Like, no big deal. You don't have to pay me royalties. He's like, when you promote, it promotes us. So like, you know, when the tide comes in, all the ships rise. And he's like, you've done so much for the school and this and that. So he was really, really supportive. And so there isn't really an association, but oddly enough, I've had 4 schools in the U.S. ask to be under me, and it's a little bit awkward. So I'm like, maybe I should put together an association.
Are you other than the Philippine guys, or are there any other schools that are affiliated with you?
No. I just got, it was funny, the week of when I went to the Philippines, there was a school in South Carolina that asked, hey, can we be under Jack Taufer Jiu-Jitsu? I just got an email or a Facebook message yesterday or the day before. This guy was like, hey, I want to start a school. I want to be under your affiliation. And then there was one more person who asked. So it's something I'm going to have to look at and figure out. But yeah, it's funny because I'm super loyal to Dave Kama. And so I got to kind of figure that out. And I don't want to leave Kama Jiu-Jitsu. I don't want to have a conflict of, like, I don't know. I kind of have to sort it out. And I haven't talked to Dave about that because it's just randomly, like 3 other people have asked me to be under Jack Taufer Jiu-Jitsu. So I might just steer him, try to get him under Kama, or maybe if I'll only do international associations, so it doesn't really mess with. I don't know. I have to figure all this out.
Does Kama have a lot of affiliates?
No, there's like 3.5, something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Just like a small amount.
Yeah. He's such a badass dude, man. He's so laid back, and it's funny because I realized that he was my age when I started with him. So he's like, I think he's like, well, maybe he's like 53 or 54. But I'm like, fuck, man, I've been under this dude for 20 years, and he's put up with my dumb ass. When I was in my early 20s, you know, it's like, you know everything, you're arrogant, and like you're full of testosterone and stuff like that. And I just kind of like recently have reflected back over my long-term relationship with him. And he's just so like patient, just such a dope dude, you know, really supportive, really like laid back. Yeah. I'm a little more high strung.
Man, when did you, you know, not like trying to get like super into your whole background, because I'm sure that you've talked about it all over the place, but like, when did you first get with Dave? Like, how did you hear that he was the guy to go see?
Crazy. It was either 1995 or 1996. I was in Tampa, Florida, because I got my brother's out there. And my mom was like, she wanted us to get out of Utah. She wants us to go everywhere and visit shit. She was like, go stay with your brother for the summer. And I was down there, and Rickson Gracie was having a seminar. So I went to it, and then his assistant was Dave Kama. And Dave back then in 95 was a brown belt. And funny enough, I'm in California. I didn't know who that guy was, but I'm really good at remembering people's faces and shit. But I was at this, I think it was called the Copa Pacifica, but I'm just sitting there watching a tournament, and I literally just casually look over to my left, and it's that dude. I was like, hey, I remember you. I met you in Florida, and I rolled with you, and you're a brown belt. It's like, yeah, I got my black belt now. I'm like, cool, give me your number. I'm training with you. And then, so that was maybe in the year 2000, 2001, and I've been with him since.
Nice.
Yeah, bananas. Yeah.
So since you've been training with Kama, you've trained with a bunch of other people that I would consider notable that I would love to train with, honestly, if I had the chance, like Henry Akins, Howder. I know that you've taught some seminars with Howder, if I'm not mistaken, and traveled around a little bit with him. What's it been like being around like some of these guys? I mean, you all just have a very interesting approach to jiu-jitsu, and I have only personally trained with you, but I've got a Howder, BJJ Fanatics, and I've seen what those guys have done. I've been fortunate enough to train Rickson a couple of times, but what's it like being around these guys with this truly unique flavor of jiu-jitsu?
It's weird because it's like normal to me to a degree now, just because I guess I'm circulating in that world, you know. But I was at Rickson was teaching at Crohn's about 4 or 5 years ago, and I had just seen that Howder video where he like breaks down the history of like jiu-jitsu. It's a fucking awesome video, right? And I was like, dude, I saw your video. That's fucking great. And I was like, did you know any of this Rickson stuff, like with posture? Can I show you something? And he was like, what the, like, okay. And so I'm like, yeah, you do it like this, and like, do it to me. And then we like go back and forth. And I'm like, Rickson was showing this shit the other day. Never saw it. And he just lit up. And so Rickson taught for like 2 years at Crohn's. And so Howder's a fucking nut job. And I mean that with the utmost affinity, but he's a fucking nut job. And he's like, because anytime we'd go to drill, he's like, Taufer, get over, you're with me. And it's like, okay, sir. And he was my drilling partner for like a year, something like that. We were always just training together. And his jiu-jitsu is really good, like really, really good. You can see it doesn't have the Rickson signature on it. It's got the Higa Machado signature on it, but he loves the Rickson stuff. And he was really, dude, he's one thing that's really cool about Howder is like, he's always learning. He's always asking questions. He's always like, what do you do in this one? Okay, good. Here's what I do. And he's like, he's a student of the game. And yeah, he's a real special individual. So hanging with him is always fun. He cracks me up. The shit that it's weird because he's an intellectual. He's also like a jock, and you know, he's also a family guy. But so he's got this like interesting. He's just an interesting dude, and I like him a lot. I appreciate him. And then Henry Akins. It's funny because I think it was like 10 years ago. I think I was a brown belt, and I just decided I want to, because Rickson was gone, so I've got Dave's perspective over the last 10, 15 years. Let me go see about Henry Akins. And if I could, Chris Saunders and all these other guys. But Henry was like, and Shane, but he's up in Canada. But I hit him up for a private, and then we just kind of stayed in touch a bit, and then we became friends. Funny enough, his good buddy used to put on these monster, they weren't raves, but like raves, like big outdoor festivals. And I think the guy's name is Destructo. His name's Gary, but he's like this huge DJ. But he would put on these massive, massive festivals, like 30,000 kids out up in like downtown LA or big parks. It was called like Day of the Dead, or like Hunt, or like, no, it was Hard Halloween and Hard Summer. Those were like the two main ones. And he rented a cruise ship, and they had like the Holy Ship, I think is what they called it. But anyway, so like Henry's like, yeah, I know Gary, I'll get you in. Like, come on, let's go hang out. So he's a really laid back dude. He's been very supportive with me. Yeah, and the guy is just like a PhD of jiu-jitsu. He really is. He's got a really profound understanding. So it's cool to like, chill with that dude. I'm like, it's really good to see his success. And then I don't know who else you wanted to know about like training with, but there's Rickson, but you said you got to train with him. Rickson is on a different level. His understanding is just fucking blows my mind. And he can just make these small adjustments, and he can see shit that is like just over me. And it's really cool. He goes, my father told me, he's talking about Elio, he goes, you don't teach the student what he wants. You teach the student what he needs. And when you're at that high of a level, you can see what he's missing and you can see his errors and stuff like that. So every private I've had with Rickson, I've just walked away like, whoa, that changed everything. And then it takes me a long fucking time to process it. There was one time at the end, he just dumped on like 15 different escapes for different stuff. He was like, what do you do here? What do you, boom, 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 boom. And I was just like, I left just like in a cloud. And then it's cool because I have a really good mental retention of the details of the technique. Whether or not I put them in my body, my DNA, and muscle memory is a different thing, but I can remember what he did, and then I have to go back and drill it. But man, in one private, he gave me a year's worth of shit to work on, like, you know, really just drill. And so that's kind of blown my mind. Yeah.
How many times did you say you've trained with Rickson over the years? I trained with him a bunch since I've known you. I mean,
Yeah.
Private lessons or otherwise. I mean, I know it might be hard to keep up with, but
Because he was teaching in the early 2000s, and almost like every it was for like a period of time. Every Saturday I would drive up. I think I was blue and purple belt, and I would drive up there, and he was teaching. And then, you know, he kind of fell off the map there for a little bit. And then over the last 5 years, he taught for like 6 or 8 months at Crohn's 2 times a week. And then the next year it was just like 1 time a week from like maybe April to November he taught. And I attended as many of those classes that I possibly could. So, I mean, that's a lot of classes. And then I've been to 6 seminars of his maybe. And then I don't know how many hours of privates I've had, but I'm guessing like private or semi-privates has been like 15, 20 hours. I'm not sure. Yeah.
man, I I got to do those 2 seminars with him. One was an hour long, and then I think that one that we
In
were at
Vegas, right?
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I just know, and it's real similar to like when you and I have trained together, and probably the same sort of thing that leads you to get emails from the Philippines and shit, is that it is a different type of jiu-jitsu. It's profound. Like that is
Yeah.
the only way I can describe it. And it just has such a big impact on me. I mean, I've trained a lot, but anything that I've ever been exposed to from that, like wellspring of jiu-jitsu details, is truly and definitively unique. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't comment on that enough. It's people describe it as Aikens calls it hidden jiu-jitsu, and Rickson refers to the invisible jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, call it what you want. It is something different than what you're seeing in the sport, than what you're seeing other high level people teach and do.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess a lot of jiu-jitsu people, it's just a series of moves to them. And they sort of leave out what I was saying earlier, sort of some of the weight distribution, definitely the connection, and like the posture and stuff like that. I mean, they'll talk about it, but Rickson he's figured out some things that nobody else really has. Not that there isn't like beautiful, incredibly effective and efficient jiu-jitsu elsewhere, but Rickson has figured out his own things. And I resonate with that too. For me, you know, it really works. And there's guys that can kick my ass and all that stuff. And I'm not a pro athlete training like a motherfucker right now, but yeah, it is definitely unique. It's very different. It feels different. And the amount of power, like I was working with someone today on standing posture and the idea of connection. And dude, it's like, it's so weird. It feels like the guy has a force field and you're fucking bouncing off it. Now here's something else that I want to say, because I got real active online kind of talking about it when Rickson was teaching up at Crohn's. Because a lot of the guys, I think it came from when Rickson was fighting. It was sort of like my life and livelihood and family and everything's on the line because I'm fighting in MMA. And it's kind of like I don't want to give my stuff out to everybody. So it was kind of like a guarded sort of private circle. But some people would talk about it and like, oh, it's invisible. Oh, it's hidden. You know, it's this and that. And then it kind of got this like, people started like, oh yeah, it's like the death touch, huh? Oh, it's like your chi power, huh? Oh, it's like woo woo. And it was really cool. I had a conversation with Rickson one time. It was funny. He was teaching on the side of the mat, and I asked him a question like, "How did you figure this out?" And he's like, "Oh, it's leverage, and my daddy taught me leverage and stuff." I'm like, "No, nobody is teaching this." And he goes, "Yeah, like connection and this and that." I'm like, "No, Rickson, nobody is teaching this. How did you figure this out?" And then he kind of looked at me. He's like, "Okay." And then he started talking to me. He's like, the bridge, for example, the way he does the upa, he goes, to me, it's like I'm an architect or like an engineer. I wanted to figure out the highest, longest, strongest bridge with no breaks in it. And I figured out if I move my head and I do it this way, then I can have one continuous thing. So he's like, it's physics. And I was like, so happy that he told me that, because that's all it is. It really is physics. And if you can put your body weight and then create a structure in a certain way, it's very, very powerful. But if you're always as weak as a link, you're as weak as that saying, the chain, one of the links in the chain falls apart, chain breaks. So he just can teach you kind of how to like create a really like sturdy structure to generate a lot of force with. Did you look like you need a Red Bull, brother?
No, I'm good. I was just looking down. Cord just texted me that my parents are here.
Oh shit! Do you need to cut it short, or are you good for a bit?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
So a couple other things I wanted to hit on, man.
You want to hit on me? I knew it. I knew it.
You have some of the greatest one-liners, I will say, my friend.
I forget dude, I forgot that I said it, but when it was at your wedding and I was talking to that girl, and your buddy reminded me of it. I love that guy. He goes, "Dude, you had the best pickup line ever." And I go, "What was it?" And I go, "Do you have an ugly boyfriend?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Do you want one?"
Yeah.
I just made it up on the spot. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad he reminded me that I said that," because, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Man, have you trained with Crown very much over the years?
No. I rolled with him once when he was like 12. And then I've taken 2 classes from him, but I rolled with him once. Dude, that motherfucker is a monster. He's really good. It's like, he's a little different than Rickson. He's got a lot more motion in his game, but he's still got that connection. He's still got that like killer instinct. But yeah, dude, he's good. It was really cool. I still kind of need to process that role because it was like 2 months ago or something like that. Yeah.
Did you go to his last fight?
Not the last one, but the first UFC fight in Phoenix. Yeah, where he tapped out Alex Caceres in like a minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't even think he got touched once. Yeah, in that fight, the Cub Swanson fight. That's a different story. Yeah.
Is that what? Didn't you train with Maynard when you went down to Phoenix for that one?
I had lunch with Maynard in Phoenix, and then I trained with him like a month ago. Well, like in January.
Yeah,
February.
like right before Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, right? Or was that, or whatever those Combat Jiu-Jitsu matches were?
Yeah, it was like that same weekend. Yeah.
How was that, man? I saw that you were there checking it out.
Yeah. He's like, God, that guy's I'm not necessarily a Tool fan. Like, I'll hear it on the radio. I'm like, oh yeah, I know this song. It's funny because everyone went nuts when he dropped that last album. So I've been listening to it a little bit, and I gotta say, like, I have to be in a certain mood for that. But they are maybe like the tightest band I've ever fucking heard. Like, everything, it's perfect. It's absolutely fucking perfect. Yeah. But anyway, so like, that's impressive that he's on that creative level. When I met him in Phoenix, he was opening a restaurant. And oh yeah, check this out. I think I can show you this. When he's got this winery, and
Caduceus.
Yeah. So when I trained with him, he's like, here, check this out, and he just showed me like about his winery, and he literally, so he's, I don't know how many millions of worth, but he's like, he decided, I'm like, are you a sommelier? Like, are you just like, how? He goes, man, I decided to do it, so I fucking jumped in with 2 feet. He might have said jumped in balls deep. I'm not sure. Could have been 2 feet. But And then he's like, well, we just figured it out, me and my buddy. And then he's like, I'm out there with the crates. I'm driving a forklift. I'm doing this and that. So he seems like a really, I mean, he's like got restaurants, badass musician, and then, winemaker. I don't know what else he's got his hands in, but seems like a very competent guy. But he was also very polite and just seemed real comfortable, I know you hear about like all the celebrities I've interacted with are pretty down to earth, but you hear about some like Prince, like if you can't look me in the eye, like weird shit, they're like, I need 10,000 M&Ms but they all have to be green. Part of my contract for my you hear weird shit about them, but he seemed like really, really down to earth, but I've only interacted with him twice. So it's not like we're buds or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I just recently listened to his book and it's super good. Super
cool.
Good.
Yeah. My buddy Eddie Fivey told me about that book. It was something about like contrasting or being the opposite, or what was it called? What's the title of it?
Oh man, what was it called? The Perfect Union of Contrary Things.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good though, man. I've done one of the goals I have going. I do these Music Unraveled podcasts. So one of our goals is to listen to all the Tool, all the Perfect Circle, and all the Pussifer albums on the podcast. We've done like 7 so far. Yeah. But man, I love all of Maynard's stuff that he puts out.
He was. I think I can say this. He was like, "Hey guys, I got to run. I'm supposed to be in the studio because he's doing a new Perfect Circle album."
A Perfect Circle, or yeah. Oh wow.
It wasn't Pussifer. I'm pretty sure it was a new. He's laying down vocals for that. I just. You looked lethargic a second ago, but now you're like, oh my God. I hope it gets released. I don't know anything other than that one statement. He goes, I gotta go. I'm doing tracks for that. Yeah.
That's all. Well, and they've done so much cool stuff over the years, like remixes and new releases. Who knows what that has got to be one of the most creative guys that's he's an enigma in that way, is that he's just like one of the most creative guys ever. Like, I mean, that's the thing that interests me about him. I'm like, how you do all that stuff? I'm trying to do a lot of stuff. You're doing way more than me, and you're better.
And way better. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm not talking shit, but like, yeah, he's at a professional level, like a really, really high standard on everything he does.
He went to West Point Prep School.
I was going to say, so my buddy Eddie, he knows Maynard fairly well, I suppose. And he was talking about that. And it was kind of like he was telling me about the title of that book, the Perfect Combination of Contrary Things. So he grew up military, then he was an artist, and then he's a businessman. So it's like, yeah, it's all these like, he's got these very different hats that he puts on. Yeah. And it's all seeming to work.
Yeah. Man, such an interesting guy. I really enjoy.
I'm happy that I wasn't like this massive Tool fan, because talking to him, I'm like, oh, hey dude, like, yeah, I heard you had some albums and shit. Like, so it was like, I wasn't weirded out at all. Funny enough, it was the same with Skrillex. I was like, who the fuck is this emo kid moving into my building?
Yeah.
And then I go over and say hi to him, and he's just like the nicest dude. I was like, hey, I saw you're my new neighbor. I wanted to say what's up. If you need anything, I'm like down the hall. And he's like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Here, come check this out. And he like showed me stuff. And then it was like a year later, I was like, dude, I heard you were pretty famous. And he goes, yeah, I was in this band called From First to Last. I'm working on new stuff right now. And then like a year later, then he was like fucking boom, Skrillex. Yeah, but I just knew him as like Sonny. He was just like this fucking rad little dude.
Yeah. Man, how much have you trained with Eddie Fivey over the years? I know, like, I had heard about Eddie Fivey through you, but I've heard about him since. And
Eddie's another really competent guy. I think he's had me up. I've taught at his academy 4 or 5 times, done seminars up there. Yeah, so those 4 or 5 times, I trained with him at Crohn's. I trained with him up in LA with Maynard. So that was Maynard and Eddie and I. Yeah, so 5 seminars, a couple Rickson seminars, and then yeah, I don't know, for the last 5 years off very sporadically. But he's a great dude. Anything
you actually introduced me to him at the Rickson seminar. I just now remembered that. That's the first
Oh,
time I
cool.
met him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great dude. He would be a guy that if you want to do a podcast with, he's really intellectual. He's really like articulate about stuff. He would be probably a fun guest.
Oh yeah, I'll hit you up on that after we wrap it up. That would be super
Cool.
cool because like I'm
Yeah.
trying to podcast. I mean, dude, I'll tell you, Caleb has been doing a great job. He's been doing
Dude,
some cool podcasts.
he's got A-listers on there, man.
He really does, man. He's
Yeah,
calling him in, dude. Like
and me.
when he booked you, like we'd done that private lesson like the day before, and I'm like, yeah, well, I did a private with Jack yesterday.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We'll have to do one of those again, man. I was really happy with how well
Oh,
that
yeah.
turned out. I was almost sad that I hadn't done one previously.
Yeah, dude.
Was
That was it. Thanks. Yeah, that was interesting. That was the first online one I did. And we stumbled through it, some technical difficulties and stuff like that. The next one we do, I'll have an Uki. And man, I got some really cool shit to show you. Like really, really fun stuff.
what did you work on the last private you did with Rickson? What were some of your big takeaways there? Can you
Sounds
even
so
talk
dumb.
about it yet?
Yeah. One thing that changed everything for me was he was really working with us a lot on passing. Well, actually, it was me and my two buddies from Australia. They flew up and we were kicking it. But Rickson was basically trying to get the person who's under pressure to survive and find comfort in hell. That's how he calls it. He's like, you need to find comfort in hell. And then for the other person, like the person mounted on you, he's like, Jack, you need to create pressure and force them to make mistakes. You need them to be scrambling and running. And then he's like, okay, wait. You got it on the bottom. Let's say it was Chris. Chris, no, you got to find pressure, man. Just breathe, relax. Jack, get him. Go. So he's coaching us on just fucking making someone run and then make mistakes. And then also when someone's relentlessly coming at you, just, dude, you got to stay safe, be cool, breathe. And so I oop it out and he goes, no, that's not the drill. You stay under there and you need to find comfort in hell. Like you need to know that you can survive. There's going to be times where you can't oopa. So you got to just find how to survive. So that was like a big thing. Another thing was on passing. Just constantly, you never, it's like he's constantly moving forward. Like you'll see it all over the place in Rickson's jiu-jitsu. He's like a ratchet. It only goes one way. If he fucking takes an inch, you're never going to get that inch back. And then he takes another one and another one and another one. So on passing, he's always just getting his weight. It's like an avalanche. It's like always there and you're trying to move in this and then he changes the angle and it's coming forward and it's like he never goes backwards. So he worked with us a lot on passing and then closed guard. Funny enough, he told me, he goes, Jack, closed guard is for attacking. Open guard is defense. And then I posted this. I told a story about it, and then he then goes to show me his open guard and he fucked me up. And I was like, that was your defense? You fucking fucked me up? Dude, and then the next private I did with him was on closed guard. Yeah, and that was hell. That was not fun. That was attacking. But yeah, so he's there to go for the kill. He told me a story. He made an analogy. Because we were talking about keep it playful and this and that, and he goes, look, if you're playful, you're gonna miss opportunities. He goes, the point of jiu-jitsu is to survive. It's not to win. It's to not lose. And he goes, let's say you and I are lions, and we're hungry. We'll eat anything, and there's a little mouse, in the fireplace there or whatever. And he goes, that mouse will stay patient, quiet for 2-3 days while we're wasting energy running around looking for the house for food. The second we leave the house, that mouse runs out and then gets the morsel. He gets like a crumb and then he survives. So he's like, it's not about like going out there and braving and being stupid and stuff. It's about surviving. And he goes, for example, even lions sit there and they wait patiently and they make little maneuvers and they this and that. And then when the prey runs out, then they take advantage of it. They're right there for the animal's mistake. They don't just see a pack of zebra and just fucking charge it. So he's like, the idea is to always be safe and then always advancing when you can. And then the second there's an opportunity, boom, you can pounce. So he's like, being playful in this and that, you're going to starve to death, So he wasn't talking trash about keep it playful, but he was like, it's serious. Jiu-jitsu is a little more serious. Yeah.
Man, how much would you say that what you take away from him is like mindset, thought processes, ways of looking at things? I don't know, man. It's just like the jiu-jitsu, there's something different about the jiu-jitsu that I learned from you and that I learned from him and that I see him do and put out. It's nice to see him doing videos. But
Yeah,
then there's also that like the feeling component
right.
of I do notice that certain things I learn or things I've seen of yours I've tried to incorporate. I don't really pick it up until I feel it. Like
Yeah,
even when I think I'm doing it right, there's been several techniques that you've corrected me on, like when we could get there and hands on with it.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, you kind of asked me a couple questions there. A lot of the stuff he's taught me is profound. Like he told me the guy on the bottom is in charge of gravity. So in the closed guard, so he's like, you're the one who is in charge of gravity and how the person falls. And I was like, fuck, I never thought about that, you know. But uh, the feeling sensation of it, it's interesting. Like that posture and guard. I've had people who are like, oh, I've seen the video on that, and I'm like, yeah, show me. And then they're not doing it right. And let me do it to you. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you feel like an I-beam. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, let's get you till you feel like an I-beam. And then they're like, oh, that's different. That's different than what I thought. Um, and then just like cross-side pressure and different things. So a lot of the true understanding comes from, you know, the mechanics of the technique, but also exactly how it should feel. Yeah. Yeah, there's times where he did shit to me and I was just like, fuck. Like, I didn't think he could do that. Like with his legs, in open guard, man, I got fucking thrashed around. Like his open guard is fucking heavy. He's breaking your posture. You're never comfortable. You're tipping over. And the second you try to get your posture back, boom, he knocks over the other side. And then all of a sudden you're kind of in an armbar or some whack ass choke. And you're like, it's a nightmare. So I wouldn't have ever understood open guard to be like that until I felt it. Yeah. Most open guards are just defensive and pushing away. You know what I mean? There's no weight on you. It's more like bracing and feet and whatever. His is like grabbing you and ripping you around backward, forward, and left and right. You're just like, fuck. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a large component of it is just feeling it. Yeah.
Well, man, you got anything lined up with any privates or anything with Hicks in the future? You have any seminars coming up? You have anything to look,
I
to be on the lookout for?
was was supposed to go to the Philippines on March 21st. That was canceled.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'm glad that I didn't go. I'd be under military lockdown. I don't think there's a travel ban between us, but I don't like, you know, I could have got like stuck there for months, which would have been kind of a really cool story to tell. Like, oh, dude, like I got locked down in the Philippines. It was crazy. So that, and then I had 3 seminars lined up in on the East Coast in like South Carolina, two in South Carolina, and then 1 in North Carolina. A UFC fighter. I'm so bad with names, and I'm a little tired. I could look up his name right now, but he's a former UFC fighter. A really nice dude. I'll remember it in a second. I'm just drawing a blank. But I was supposed to go teach those seminars. But that was it for now. And then I haven't talked to Rickson for a minute. I shoot him text messages and, you know, wish him well and stuff like that. Or just, you know, say what's up or share like, you know, some sort of jiu-jitsu success story that I had, you know, like, oh, dude, I finally, like, I got what you mean by that now. And he's like, awesome, dude, keep training. He's real supportive of me teaching and training. But yeah, no privates lined up. Yeah. Just kicking, yeah, just laying low. You and I could set up a private. Actually, I'm doing a private like every day in person. I have a private gym that I have a key to, nobody has access to. And so I'll, you know, just do a one-on-one private. I've been teaching.
Nice. Yeah. We'll have to set something up again super soon, man. I really, like I said, I thought that went super well. And I was reviewing some of the techniques and have drilled the techniques a few times. When I showed Josh McMillan, like when you have the 2 arms on one side and they try and square back up with you and you just roll them over to mount, that blew his mind. That and the pulling them up.
Oh,
like,
right.
All of that blew his mind. It was great.
Oh, it's top secret.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But yeah, dude, it's all good shit. I'm glad that it was that it helped you out. Yeah.
It certainly did, man. A lot of value there. So we'll have to do it again sometime, man. Well,
Cool.
dude, I'm gonna wrap it up and see if my parents are still here. We got about an hour in.
Okay.
So, man, I appreciate your time. I hope you stay happy and safe and well, and that things return to normal for all of us real soon.
Ditto on all that. Thanks, dude. It was really good chatting with you, man. I always enjoy talking to you all the time.
Likewise, man. Have a great day, Jack.
Okay, homie. Bye.
All right, see you.